All right. Greetings and welcome back once again. I pray everybody is doing well. Look, today we are going to be talking about trading places and how that ties into this whole conversation of destiny exchange, destiny swapping. Hopefully, you have been all caught up by now, right? So that you can follow along with this train of thought. Because as we're going through the Bible and as we're looking in real time, we get to see that this particular phenomenon, I guess we'll call it, happens in different ways. Let me double check to make sure that I can be heard loud and clear before I continue. It feels like I can be heard. Let me go ahead and check here. Let me move this picture to make sure that I can be heard before we go forward. How is everybody doing today? This is live. Yep. 1 2 1 2. All right. So we're gonna go into it. I have a little presentation. That's what I'm gonna use. But before that, who remembers the movie Trading Places? I gotta double check here. I was like, you know what? As I was thinking about the next occurrence of this phenomenon in the text, we already went over Abraham, say you my sister. We already went over Adam and Eve, right? But who remembers Trading Places? I'm so welcome to the conversation. Queenie, welcome to the conversation. Leah, welcome. Welcome. So I can be heard loud and clear. All right, cool. So in Trading Places, I'm dating myself at this point, but it's an old school movie from the early 80s that starred Monisha, welcome to the conversation, starred Eddie Murphy, as we see here. I put it on the screen for our convenience, right? And essentially, it is what it says it was. So these two, Mortimer and Randolph, if you remember, I was just saying that Mortimer and Randolph, the two homeless guys in Coming to America, were Mortimer and Randolph, right? And so how they got broke is that they used to own a brokerage company and they finessed Valentine, which is Eddie Murphy's character, as well as Winthrop, right? And so they took Valentine off the street and they gave him Winthrop's position. They gave him Winthrop's butler, Winthrop's food, Winthrop's money, Winthrop's job, right? And so essentially that was the whole concept of the movie. Let me just read a little quick synopsis. It's a 1983 American comedy directed by Blizzy Blasey, right? And the film tells the story of an upper-class commodities broker and a poor street hustler whose lives cross when they are unwittingly made the subjects of an elaborate bet to test how each man will perform when their life circumstances are swapped. Isn't that what we're talking about here? Isn't this the definition of having your destiny exchanged for another? And I just want to say, as we're reading, it can be, people can equally work for their own, and somebody's not coming to take something from you. If you're working for a goal and someone else is working for your goal, it doesn't mean that only one person can achieve that goal. But in this particular case, this is taking something that one person has worked for or one person is entitled to and then wholesale transferring it to someone else. It's different than everybody has what is for them, right? This is very different. This is wanting for the individual what actually belongs to somebody else. So I kind of wanted to go into that before I go into the biblical overview of what it is that I came across as it relates to trading places. Now, let me share my screen. I hope everybody who was affected by this, Milton, who decided to go ahead and boogie on through, I hope everybody is okay, because Milton came through. He came through with a little something now. He came through with a little something. Hold on one second. All right, we're good. Now let me remove this here. I told you it's a new setup, so please sit with me. You don't know it already. It is a new setup here. All right, boom. Here we are. All right, so again, I already explained it, so we're going to go in. We are going to go in. Now, something similar happens in Genesis 25. So we already saw what Abraham did, say you're my sister. We already saw what happened. We already saw that there was a need for divine intervention. Otherwise, else, it wasn't going to go how it was supposed to go. So in this particular case, there's two children, and I have it up here, Genesis. There's two children that are struggling in the womb. This is the womb of Rebecca, right? Who is the wife of Isaac, as we remember. So it says here, 23, and the Most High said unto her, two nations are in your womb, two manner of people shall be separated from your bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. So, like, again, there are parts that we swap and change and exchange because of our own personal will. And then there's a divine destiny. I guess I'll use that for the sake of conversation. A divine destiny, as we're seeing here, right? And so this is even before they're born. So this is prophetic. This is something that is on their life. Some people today, they listen to certain, religious teachers and gurus, and it's like, it's your divine destiny to have the BMW and it's like, bro, and the Benz, and it's like, come on. There are things that we, the people, may want because that's what you want, but then there's divine destiny. And then in this case, it says the elder is going to serve the younger. That's already a decree, right? That's not his mother like, oh, I like this one, I don't like this one, I think you're going to be my favorite today, right? According to the text so far, this is something that was already spoken of. This is the whole I knew you before you were formed in the womb type stuff. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, they were twins in her womb. There weren't no sonograms back in the day. So, she felt that way. I mean? As someone who carried twins, you're like, whoa, there's a lot of activity going on in there. You know what I'm saying? So I could definitely understand that she was probably like, what in the world is happening? It says, the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Okay. And after that came his brother, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel. So based on what we just read, Esau would be the older and Jacob would be the younger, because one comes out first, even if it's six. My twins are 6 minutes apart. Some twins are 2 minutes apart, 30 seconds apart. Well, not really 30 seconds, because the other one gonna have time to like get out. But you get the point. The one who comes out first is the older. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. So Jacob was given homebody. Jacob was given, I'm just gonna chill here at the crib. And Esau was given manly man. You know what I'm saying? Like, he sprayed Axe deodorant on. Like, he was always out there doing the most. Okay. So these are two totally different. And if you see twins today, you see people like, oh, they're twins. And we have the habit, because I come from a family that has a lot of twins, and they come from the habit of just calling the twins whatever they are. And the and is the conjunction, which means the twins are one. So if you call one, you're always calling the other one, even if the other one is not involved in whatever you're calling them for, right? If you've known twins, let me know if that applies, right? So it's giving the descriptive. It's like, to me, it's given that they're fraternal twins. That's just a side note, because if they weren't, they would look exactly alike. So it's given fraternal. All right. I'm gonna get there now, because I'm gonna get to the little switch here. And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Introducing, oh man, I forgot to put my little thing at the end. No problem. Introducing where the issue is about to come in, right? Isaac is loving him. Why? Because of what he does for him. Remember, he's in the field. Jacob is more like a homebody. Maybe he's more reserved. Maybe, and so his mother is more inclined to him. It says, and Jacob, and but this favoritism situation, even though we skipped over it, I'm going to go back when I deal with Sarah and Hagar. But for this particular situation, there's a favoritism issue that has already come over to this particular generation, because Isaac was the favorite of his mother, even though he has an older brother through this whole switcheroo situation, which is named Ishmael, right? Anyway, so Isaac would have been the benefactor. He is the promised seed, but he's also the benefactor of favoritism. And Jacob sowed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. So my boy in there cook anting, my boy in there cut up him onion and him scallion anting, right? And him in there cut up the scallion and the onion and everything. And He cooking his food. He making red lentils, right? In comes Esau. He's from the field. He's hungry. This is where people are say, "Oh, they my dead with hungry. They my dead with hungry," right? So Esau is like, he been outside all day. He been doing the most, and he is hungry. And Esau said to Jacob, basically, I say, "Yo, give me some food, no bread, and run that pot, then, no friend. Feed me," he says, "I pray thee, with that same red pottage. Like nobody go for nothing else. With that same something the way I cook, give me some." He says, "For he is faint. Therefore, his name called Edom." This thing gets interesting. We're almost to the whole destiny exchange. And Jacob said, "Sell me this day your birthright." So Jacob had to be meditating on this. Okay. Jacob had to be meditating. Look at the girl eating the pottage and the thing. Girl, why you got Esau food? Right? You had to be meditating on this for your response to be, "I bet. Give me what you have." Sometimes when people comes into this particular event, like I said a few episodes ago, they may not value what they have because in the short term they need whatever they're looking for. In the short term, they need to pay their bills. In the short term, they want to get their family out the ghetto. In the short term, they want to make themselves somebody. So they're not really considering the long-term implications of the decisions that they're making in the short term because they're pressed. It says, "And Esau said, Behold, I am at the point him to dead." So Esau is saying he's at the point to dead. "And what profit shall his birthright do to him?" So again, not valuing, this is a way in which somebody was prepared to I'm going to come and look at the comment section in a minute. I'm going through something real quick. Somebody was prepared to have this conversation. The person who was meditating, it seems, was Jacob, right? Jacob was already meditating on this. Esau kind of got a little bit blindsided. Like, if you want this, this is the content. This is what you have to be able to give me for this thing. And so in this very rash space, and that's why you don't make decisions, especially decisions that are going to affect your life for a time to come. You don't make decisions when you're pressed. You don't go to the supermarket when you're hungry. You're going to start buying stuff you don't need. I learned this real life in my life. Do not go to the car dealership when you're desperate. They will smell your desperation and they will exploit you. Because they had the time to sit in. They would twiddling their thumbs in between customers. They trying to, shine up their finesse game and try to get over on you, right? So this is a lesson. How he said, "Sell me." So some people say, how do you sell your soul? Or is it even possible? In this particular case, he sold away his blessing, his birthright. And in antiquity, a birthright had to do with the portion that you were supposed to get from your inheritance, right? So because the Creator had already promised Abraham, and now Isaac is the son of Abraham, and Isaac is going to be, this is Isaac's firstborn son, he gets a double portion. So if it's 100 acres and they get a double portion. So they get their portion and more. It's not to say that Jacob doesn't get a portion. He just doesn't get the double portion. So Isaac's birthright, what's his name? Esau's birthright would have been a double portion. And Esau, and plus the benefit of being the elder. But as we saw, according to the prophecy, it wasn't going to go to Esau. So many people are like, well, sis, it wasn't going to go to Esau. So they were just doing what they had to do. But when we, the people, kind of redesign things, it comes with other things that may not have been the case had we not messed around. You understand what I'm saying? And as I saw somebody asking about the case of Sarah, because she put Hagar in her stead, because she wasn't able to conceive, yes, she did bear on her knees. Basically, it's modern day surrogacy, right? They didn't have test tubes and all that stuff. So it's surrogacy, as we know. It's modern day surrogacy. But the child would have been Sarah's child. And the Creator's like, no, Sarah, this is not your child. I'm still blessing him. Or when Abraham is praying for Ishmael, he's like, I'm still blessing, but this is not it. This is not it. You understand? You are going to have a child. But let me continue. So at this point, Esau is not valuing. First of all, Esau is not worried. Maybe he didn't understand the implications of what he just did. Much like when people go through things, they don't understand the implications. Um, don't go grocery shopping when you're hungry. Dr. Charles, welcome to the conversation. No, that's a bad plan because you start picking up all kind of stuff that you don't need. Right? So I'm gonna come and see some things right now. What was I gonna say? So Esau was not worried. His We already just saw, what did we just see? We just saw that Isaac loved Esau, and Isaac has the keys to the kingdom, and his dad loves him. He's not worried. You know what I mean? It doesn't appear that he is. So here comes his twin brother, but he sees like his twin brother ain't on nothing, right? So here comes his twin brother, and his twin brother is like, "Hey, give me this." And maybe at the time that he thought the food was more important because according to him, he was gone dead for hungry. Now I don't know how long he was in the field, but clearly he was out there for a considerable amount of time, or he just has a really fast metabolism. Nonetheless, Jacob said, so Jacob said to him that he should swear unto him this day. And he swore. So the Torah tells you to be mindful about, first of all, it tells you shouldn't just be going out swearing or willy-nilly. So he puts his mouth, spiritually, he puts his word that he is in agreement. It's like a handshake. And he sold his birthright to Jacob. So spiritually, through this transaction, they switched places. Now, spiritually, Jacob is entitled to this birthright, and Esau forfeit his position for a pot of lentils. We could go deep, but again, some people will be like, come into agreement with them, handshake with them, sign this documentation with them. You understand what I'm saying? It comes in different forms. Sign this, whatever to whatever, right? You don't read the fine print, and the next thing you know, you don't realize, even though you got what you came for, when it's time to pay the piper, you cry foul. Because why? You didn't realize, or because you were desperate, that you put yourself in a position. And we've all been there, especially if you're younger and you buy a car, you do this or you do that, and not really realizing all that it comes with. And Jacob said, okay, so he did that. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. So beyond switching places, people will act as though, like in this case, it says he despised it, because now he's angry that he traded this off for something that now, when the satisfaction is gone, it wasn't worth it. It's like Kanye singing the song. I have to keep putting this in because we have younger children that's watching to understand, don't go, it's not like, oh, the Bible is so far away and it's disconnected and I don't see the value. This is why you see me keep talking about things that happen today. So even the younger generation can understand that, hey, this has value. Kanye sings the song that he sold his soul for for something and a Happy Meal. I don't even want to misquote him. Hold on. I don't want to misquote him. He says he sold his soul to the devil, that it was a crappy deal, least it came with a few toys like a Happy Meal. In a song named Eyes Closed. That was one of his lyrics, right? So basically, you didn't value it at the time when they're saying, hey, they're gonna control you, they're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, but you're at the point of fainting. You're so desperate because you want this thing so badly. You want to taste the frame, and a lot of people who go into these spaces, they want to become this thing that they've envisioned so much that at that time, the thing that they possess doesn't really matter that much to them, much like Esau. What good is it if they're gonna be broke? What good is it if they're gonna stay in the hood? What good is it if blah blah blah, fill in the blank? And then afterwards you get what you thought you always wanted it, and it's nothing that you thought it would be. And so you begin to despise it, right? Let me continue here. Let me pause right here and see what's going on, and then I will come back. There is nothing new under the sun. Yeah, the Ishmael, the swap concept is not Ishmael himself. It was what Sarah did to what Sarah did to what Sarah did to get, basically she moved herself out of that position and then invited Hagar into that position. And then it caused a problem. So she, as the wife, she brought in another woman into her relationship because that's how bad she wanted children. So she kind of swapped herself out of that position and put somebody else in. And then it caused all manner of problems, as we see. So I see you, Winter. I can't go left right now with the conversation. Again, there's a lot of videos on the channel. I notice when I'm talking about Kamala Harris and the genealogy, people want to pull me left. And then if I talk about something else, so I have to stay on point right now. I want to thank you for tuning in, but I'm staying on point right now. And there was a famine. This is Genesis 26 in the land beside the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. So they're letting you know similar circumstances. And Isaac went into Abimelech, king of the Philistines, onto Gerar, and the Creator appeared unto him and said, "Go not down into Egypt." We already knew how it went the first time, right? "And dwell in the land which he shall tell thee." So this is interesting because unlike in the Abraham story, we don't see when Abraham, like I mentioned before, decides to go down, we don't necessarily see this interaction. So 3, sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and I will bless thee, for unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all of the countries, and I will perform the oath which he says he swore unto your father Abraham, right? So Isaac dwelt in Gerar, which is within the confines of the land that he was promised, right? And the men of the place asked him of his wife, and he said, she is his sister. So this whole thing about saying that you're my sister, he did the same thing his father did. Sometimes we inherit certain behaviors. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's good, and it reinforces a change in the overall trajectory or the overall destiny of the family, not just Isaac himself, but as the family. This theme reoccurs countless times. So he says, she's my sister. Again, for he feared to say she was his wife, lest the men of the place should take him out for Rebekah, because she was fair to look upon. So again, he had the same fear that his father had, right? He had the same fear that his father had. And it came to pass, when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked out at a window and saw, and behold, Isaac was sporting with, let's go back. He was sporting. He was like, hold up, wait a minute. How is this your sister? And you out here doing the Watusi. Shorty don't look like your sister, right? And Abimelech called Isaac and said, behold, of a surety she is your wife, and how say she is your sister? Like, why did you do that? Why did you say that? What in the world? And Isaac said unto him, because he said, lest he die for her. Okay. So this is, listen, I want you, and I said it before, but in his case and in his father's case, swap this thing for me so that this does not happen. Right? So he doesn't want to die for her. So therefore she must possibly put herself in harm's way for him. And Abimelech said, what is this you have done unto us? One of the people might lightly have leaned with your wife. Meaning, like, somebody could have violated her, and you should have brought guiltiness upon me. Like, okay, you don't want to die, but you also are putting her in harm's way. Why did you do this thing? Dr. Charles said the Bible is so very relevant to what is happening today. It is a living book. It is indeed. But again, depending on who presented it, depending on what the motives were for people build up a resistance to the scripture for the representation or the misrepresentation by people who held this book over however many periods of time, right? I noticed that on this channel, I did Bob Marley. I read the books. People are here for it. But Bob Marley was reading his Bible every day. People don't want to know, people don't want to tune into that he's reading a chapter a day, and that he's devoutly, even though he's doing all the other things he's doing, people don't totally discount Bob Marley because he was all over the place, even though he's promoting and reading his Bible. So we pick and choose as people what people want to tune into based on how they feel. But again, the one of the things that people tuned into because they wanted to hear the whatever they wanted to hear, this guy was sitting reading his Bible all the time, right? So I don't know. I think it's relevant. It has relevance. The It's a light onto your foot if you allow it to be, and it preserves you in this time. So we reading it to show that this concept of what is floating around as destiny swapping, it doesn't just appear because someone did something to you. There are certain things and ways in which people participate in causing their life to go off track, let's say, right? Anywho, so he was like, why did you do that? Somebody could have violated her. And Abimelech charged all the people, saying, he that touched this man or his wife shall surely be put to death, right? So that in that part, that was something that we saw before, and we're going to continue. And it came to pass, 27, Genesis, that when Isaac was old and his eyes were dim, so that he could not see, he called Esau his son, we already know who he loved, right? And said unto him, my son. And he said unto him, behold, here am I. Or in Hebrew, they will say, hine anipo, like look, here I am, right? And he said, behold, now I am old and I know not the day that he's going to. So he's like, basically, this is the time where the transference happens in a lot of cultures, right? Because he already knows he can't take this stuff with him, and he has to pass the mantle on. So he's calling not only his beloved, but his firstborn child in to pass this mantle on. Now, therefore, take, I pray thee, your weapons and your quiver and your bow, and go out to the field and take some venison. Now, this is illustrating, as it told us before, that it doesn't necessarily say he liked them because of all of his character. He liked them for what he could do for him, right? So he's doing what he can do for him. Go and get me that stuff. I like this curry. Go. I like all of this stuff. I need you to go get it. And make savory meat such as he loves, and bring it to him, that he may eat, that his soul may bless him before him dead. And Rebecca heard, so she was on her grind. She was like, what did I say? What you want him to do? When Isaac spake to Esau his son, and Esau went to the field to hunt for venison and to bring it. And Rebecca spake unto her son. Again, here's the next destiny swap that we're getting into, this is one of the most famous, right? If not the most famous. And Rebekah spake unto Jacob her son, saying, behold, I heard your father speak unto Esau your brother, saying, bring me venison and make me savory meat, that I may eat, and bless thee before the Creator before his death. Now, so she's like, yo, I heard it. I've been waiting for this day. I've been listening. And now, therefore, obey my voice according to that which I command thee. So maybe she has been, I don't know if she's been trying to talk to Isaac to say, remember the prophecy. I don't know if she feels like she doesn't have any other choice. I don't know what she did up until this point, but now she's taking the reins and telling him to obey her voice. Go now to the flock and fetch me from thence 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make thee savory meat for your father, such as he loved. And you shall bring it to your father, that he may eat, that he may bless thee before his death. So whether or not the question was, look, if Esau gets this double blessing, I'm not sure about how things are going to look or turn out for us, because the dude is wild, but they were not confident. And they were like, we needed to be you, Jacob. And Jacob said to Rebekah, his mother, because why I feel that Jacob already knew is because what he negotiated for earlier on with the pottage. That means he already knew. Whether or not he knew how it was going to happen, he knew something. And Jacob said to Rebekah, his mother, behold, Esau, my brother, is a hairy man, and I am smooth. So he's like, bro, we are not even, we not even the same type. My father peradventure will feel me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver. So remember, we were talking about how in destiny swapping, there's a level of deception. We went over that the last few times. So he's concerned that, yeah, he feels like this blessing is supposed to be his, but he has some concessions. Like, hey, he doesn't want to be seen as a deceiver. He says, and instead of bringing a blessing, he's going to bring a curse upon him. Okay. And his mother said unto him, and this is very interesting, that she then puts the curse on her. Only obey her voice and go fetch it. So she, gave him this false kind of reassurance a little bit, like, yo, it's kind of like you should naturally die. It's similar. It's adjacent to the Eve conversation. Not saying Rebecca was the serpent. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that this assurance, sometimes when we get into relationships or we get into contracts or we're negotiating contracts and something doesn't feel right, right? Something's not feeling right. But then you get this false assurance or somebody reassures you, ain't nothing to worry about, right? But you forego it. You don't listen to your gut. You don't listen to your intuition. And then you end up crossing over and getting into the situation. You're like, man, I knew it, right? So we see the apprehension in him, like, nah, bro, this don't look right, right? And he went and fetched and brought them to his mother, and his mother made savory meat, such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob, her younger son. So again, we see misrepresenting oneself, right? Misrepresenting oneself and not feeling holy. It's like going to some of these people's parties that we hear so much about today, and not feeling comfortable, but feeling like you still want the quote blessing of the studio execs, and you want the album, or you want the deal, or you want the movie. So even though you feel uncomfortable, and even though you're dressing so that it would be acceptable to these people, inside it feels like you're betraying yourself to a certain degree, right? We're talking about how people's destiny, how people are active in this particular part. He was active. I mean, he was grown. He wasn't a little boy at this point. He could have been like, Ma, I hear you, but nah, I can't do it, right? But he participated, albeit reluctantly. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats on his hands and upon the smooth of his neck, and she gave the savory meat and the bread, and she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob. And he came unto his father and said, my father. And he said, here I am. Who are you, my son? Now this gets interesting. Again, I'm reading it out. I know this is taking a little bit longer than usual, but I think these parts they're important, because we're also seeing the willingness of the person, which in this case is Isaac, to kind of also not feel 100%, but because he also wants something, he goes forward with it. And in some of these exchanges, it's not just the person coming who wants something, it's the person on the other side who is looking to receive something as well, right? In these type of exchanges. So sometimes they will make it look like, hey man, I'm doing something for you. Look, I'm trying to put you on. Like it's purely altruistic, and they have no skin in the game, and there's nothing for them to gain. Hardly not, right? Hardly not. So in this case, Isaac wanted the food. He was hungry. He wanted the savory meat, right, that he wanted to eat. Let's continue. And Jacob said unto his father, and here goes, I am Esau, your firstborn. Right there, we could just put full stop. This is the fullness. It started earlier on with selling your birthright, but now he's verbalizing it. He's bearing false witness in the sense of knowing that he is not physically Esau, but to his father, because remember, he had eyesight problems. He knew at this point that now if he doesn't represent or come as if he's someone else, he's not going to get what he's looking for. And I can't say this enough, a lot of people sell, quote, or trade who they are for who they are not even, and then get upset when the public is like, well, this is who you sold to us, this is who you told us that you were. And then eventually people get tired of pretending, and it's like, bro, but you are the one who agreed to be somebody you weren't so that you could get what you wanted. People do it when they go to work, people do it in relationships, people do it in marriages, people do it all the time. You pretend to be who you're not so that you can get the life you think you're supposed to have. Also, that you can show up as inauthentic as you can be and be as miserable as you want because now you've created dissonance in your existence, right? Anywho, he says, I've done according as you bade me. I pray thee sit and eat of my venison that your soul may bless me. So he's like, bro, just eat this food real quick so we could get to what we really came here for. Oh, wow. And Isaac said unto his son, because he got questions, how is it that you have found it so quickly? He's like, wait a minute, bro. I literally just told you to go get it. And I literally just talked to homie, and you don't sound like him. And furthermore than that, where did you get it out the freezer from the back? How did you get it so quick? Because he wanted wild game, right? And he said, because the creator has brought it to me. So, I mean, the more he's asking questions is the further into the deception that Jacob has to go. Even though he's speaking around a level of truth because the creator has brought it to me, it was really his mom who brought it to him. And he's navigating around this, but he doesn't get away with this because there's another destiny swap or exchange that happens later in the story to him, right? And Isaac said, but also just to say, Isaac was well okay with telling his wife to pretend that you were my sister. So Isaac asked someone else to pretend to be someone else so that they can preserve his life. And that same person, which is Rebecca, she asked her son to pretend to be someone else so that they can get the blessing that they're looking for, right? So Isaac is not totally absorbed of guilt in the sense of he's the one who introduced this concept into his family, right? He introduced it. How do we not know when he went to his wife to tell her that he didn't also tell her, don't worry about it, man, the sin, don't worry about the sin and the deception, it'll fall on him. We don't know what he said to convince her, right? So let's continue. To those who just joined us, welcome to the conversation. Enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. And Isaac said unto his son, how is it that, okay, are we ready about that? And he said, come near. So he's like, nah, I don't feel too good about this. He says, come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether you be Esau or not. And the weird thing is, in this whole discussion, Jacob had to feel kind of a way, and this is my thought, because he's not even calling his name. He was like he was othered in this discussion. Let me feel if you Esau or not. Like, not even to say if you're Esau or Jacob, which you have twins. So I don't know how or why he felt a way about this guy, but Isaac was not feeling this guy. And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father and felt him. The voice is Jacob's. So now he's calling his name like, no, sir, this sound like that one that Jacob. Jacob, you sure sign you? But the hands are hands of Esau. And he discerned him not. Come on. That you weren't fully okay in your spirit. You're like, but I'm hungry. Right? You forget. If you didn't go and get the food for him, he probably would have waited to be like, yeah, okay, call your brother in here. But he was like, I want to smell there. He says, but because his hands were hairy as his brother Esau, so he blessed him. Again, I don't know how many times since we're on the internet in this era, how many people, even in the story of Bob Marley, even in a lot of these stars' story, this is the same way in which they, quote, exchange their current life for the one that they want, for the destiny that they perceive. You go through things knowing it doesn't 100% feel right. It doesn't 100% mesh. You don't necessarily value what you have. So you decide to trade it in for what you want. But when you do it, it doesn't even feel like you really did anything. The person who is telling you to come, they have their own agenda. They have their own partiality. They have their own agenda. They have all of the things, right? And so you're the tool in this particular case to bring them more of what it is that they want, right? And so in this case, he blesses him. And he said, are you my very son Esau? How many times, if we go back and look, how many times is Isaac expressing, I'm unsure about this, right? I'm unsure about this. There's some people who are quote gatekeepers. I'm not talking about Isaac. I'm talking about in this field, whether it's in your career, it's in your industry, it's whatever, right? These people are kind of like the middle people who have other people on the other side that they have to, kind of toe this line of bringing in new people so that you can get to wherever you was going, right? And so in this particular case, he understands that, listen, it don't feel right. This doesn't even feel like it feels right. It's like the third time I'm unsure if this is actually Jacob. What? I'm ready for eat. Pass the bread. And Isaac said unto Jacob, come near, I pray you, that I may feel my son, whether you be my very son Esau or not. And he asked him again, are you my very son Esau? And again, Jacob said, I am. The same way Isaac asked his wife to say, you're my sister, the same way Abraham, twice in the scripture, asked Sarah to say, you are my sister. It's in the same way Abraham's grandson misrepresents himself to his father on his mother's behest. So this thing is bouncing. This type of destiny exchange and destiny is swapping, and this thing is bouncing in and out of the family right now. 3 generations, and this thing is bouncing. This ball is bouncing heavy. It says, and he said, bring it near to me. At the food, no, because the food him want. I will eat of my son's venison that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him, and he did eat, and brought him wine, and he drank. So the man did hungry. And his father Isaac said unto him, come near and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment and blessed him. So he wanted to verify again. He said, the voice does sound right. Make me feel your hand. Hand feel kind of hairy. Come close, make me smell you. I smell him, did one smell him. And he blessed him and said, see, the smell of my son is the smell of a field which the Creator hath blessed. Therefore, the Creator gave thee of the dew of the heaven and the fatness of the earth and the plenty of the corn. So remember, I told you the blessing is in this case the double portion. It's not that Jacob wasn't going to get a portion. It was that Esau was going to get a double portion. And what does he bless him? He blessed him with productivity. He blessed because they're in a new place, they're in a new land, and now the swap is complete. The swap is complete. So in this particular swap, it's between 2 people, right? And you will see this in certain industry. This person has the talent and ability, but this person is in line. I'm never going to go down that rabbit hole. And then the next thing you know, the underdog comes and takes it all. And they're like, well, how in the world did that happen, right? Let me continue. And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of the blessing Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came from hunting, and he also made savory meat. So it wasn't that Esau couldn't cook the last time when he came in, right, over there asking for the man food. It's not that he couldn't cook. It's that whatever was going on, he just didn't cook that day. And brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, let my father arise and eat of your son's venison, that your soul may bless me. And Isaac said unto his son, who are you? I can't right now. I can't. This is a spiritual swap right here. And he said, I am your son, your firstborn, Esau. And then we're going to jump because that was 32, right? So, and then he said, because basically he told him, look, your brother came and he finessed me. You understand? I don't know what happened or how it happened. He came in here, he finessed me. I ate the food. I'm not even hungry right now. I'm trying to take a little nap. You understand? And yeah, it's kind of too late. And he said, is it not he rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. Right? He switched me up. He exchanged the destiny. First, he took the birthright, but did he take it away? This is also the part of not taking personal responsibility for our actions and things, right? Did he like jump on you, wrangle it away, and steal it out your hand? He finessed you. You actually sold it, okay? You sold it for some food. So he says he took it away, and behold, now he have taken away his blessing. So he gave him the 2 combo. Now, again, one would say this was Jacob's divine blessing that was said before they were born. And if we're going according to the text says yes. Now, how we acquire what is ours makes a difference. People feel because something is yours, that means you can deal with it any way. How you go about getting what is yours or your just deserves also determines how you are affected by the whole thing. It goes on to say, and he said, hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? So he's like, wait, that one little blessing you have inside there, you're not no more. You're not no more blessing inside there. So essentially that was what I had to share today for that particular trading places conversation. I'm going to open up the mic because it happens not just in the text, because sometimes people are like, it's not biblical, it's all in there. And then it happens in this particular program. It happens all the time. All the time. Right? Let me put the link right here. And if we don't know what to watch out for, and I think this conversation is also helpful to me as well, because I'm looking at things in a different way. If we don't know what to watch out for, we don't know when the program is actually working. Like how people transfer things with their mouth, right? How there's a physical transfer, there's a spiritual transfer, right? So there's a combination. And then in Esau's case, he did not value what he had. He said, what good is it to him? What good is this birthright to him if he gone dead? Right? You see a lot of celebrities, like I think I saw Michael Jackson, who just wanted to be able to shop. And they shut down back in the day a supermarket so that and so that he can shop, because he just wanted to be human again and to be able to go out and do human like things. And it was like at one point in your life, all you wanted to do was to be this star, whether it was because of family encouragement or it was your personal ambition, right? You wanted to be this star, but then you didn't realize all the things you would have to give up or all the things that were compromises because you wanted that destiny. So when you exchanged for one thing, a lot of other things were affected as well. I put the link in the box. Let me go back and see. Woohoo. How do you guys like this series? I had to take a minute off that Kamala Harris series. Really, I didn't even have to take a minute. I kind of said what I wanted to say as it relates to the genealogy, so I'm kind of good with that. Again, people were trying to take it in the political direction, and I just like seeking knowledge and truth and not getting mixed up into the extracurriculars. For those who just joined us, welcome to the conversation. Let's see here. Winter's going left. Welcome to the conversation, Winter. I'm not going left today. I'm not going left today. I spoke to that. Let's see. Some people, yeah, I learned and noticed some people, at least some names are picked by elders. Yep, that happens. That happens. Good afternoon. Yeah, about the not going to the grocery store when you're hungry, not going shopping when you're desperate. It plays into this particular thing. We'll make a quick decision and it will impact us for days and years and months to come. I mean, we made it because we were compromised, because we were hungry, because we were desperate, because we were in need. And if somebody on the other side can see, smell, and understand that to alleviate this pressure now, just like Jacob and Esau, he wanted to alleviate the pressure now. So people sell the next 5 years plus, 9% interest to get a new car because they felt pressured. You get me? And they were in a position that they couldn't see beyond that moment. So sometimes I know it may be difficult, but being able to make level-headed decisions will help not to get into places where people can take your destiny, and so to say. Another thing is the clothes, taking and putting on other people's clothes and embodying other people's energy. We see that illustrated in this particular instance where he puts on the clothes because he's gonna now smell like Esau and he's gonna feel like Esau, right? But he doesn't put on his clothes. What does he put on? Yes, he did. Hold on. He puts on something that misrepresents who he really is, right? So that's also something, borrowing people's clothes. I know uh there is a big question as to whether or not you should borrow other people's clothes, put on other people's shoes. I know sometimes when we're growing up, you grow up and you have friends and you put on their shoes and you put on their clothes, and don't put on, there's some thoughts about that. Should you put on and walk into other people's shoes, put on other people's clothes, put on hats or things that belong to other people? How does that play into this energy exchange? Really, even if it's not a destiny exchange, it's an energy exchange to some degree. And depending on what you take onto yourself, it could even be a piece of jewelry. But depending on what you take onto yourself, it can go in one direction or another, right? Or nothing can happen. It all depends. Trying to figure out. I winter. Make me stay part topic today. Let's see. I put the link in the box. Right. So again, to define what is, again, this is like the fourth video in the session about exchanging destiny. In the case of Esau and Jacob, as you follow the story, yes, the destinies do get exchanged in the sense of what one was supposed to have versus the other one. When they get to when Jacob has to leave because of the issue that this whole destiny swap created, he leaves because of that issue, because his brother is seeking his life now. He's so upset. He has to now go and roam and be on the run and try to find a safe place. He remember, it says Jacob was a homebody. So now he's pushed outside of his comfort zone and has to find a place where he can rest because he can no longer be at home. And when he gets there, the same thing that he did to his father and his brother is then done to him. Right. So that's another story for another day, but it continues in this way because of certain choices that we make. And in this particular case, there was three parties who were involved. There was Jacob, there was Esau. Well, there's four: Jacob, Esau, and their mother and their father. Right. Each playing a role in trying to get the other one to have what was meant for the former. Welcome to the conversation. Yeah, because I see it happen, Dr. Charles. Dr. Charles said you always answer the comments with grace and intelligence. Your ability to discern between honest curiosity and deliberate argument is incredible. I mean, I open the mic. I always open the mic, but again, this happens mostly on any topic. If we talk about black, we're going to argue about what's black. And if you talk about the Bible and try to get the understanding on it, people are going to argue about that. And then if you talk about what's going on modern day, people are going to argue about that. So I'm like, nah. You understand me? I say, sometimes you answer and another time you don't answer. You understand what I said? So respect, Winter been coming in, she tap in, the mic is open. People are going to disagree, right? People are going to disagree. That's understandable. Really, this is for those who have questions or were curious or look at things and say, I never considered that. Is that a possibility? And if so, how does this work? And again, we see it working all the time. And we see it working with the same MO. The same MO. So when we see these things, people get into relationships that we the people choose, even though it goes against our greater consciousness. And then it may take you 10, 15, 20 years off course. Right? And then one day you look up and wonder, is this what the creator had for you? Is this where you were supposed to end up? And then you have to kind of backtrack and try to say, okay, where did I, because train can jump track based on our choices and decisions. So those who are talking about this, I've seen people, they kind of just come at it and from like, oh, somebody goes on you, or somebody do something you, or somebody I try buying you up and the person don't want you move forward. But if we say that only, then that means that we're saying we don't have control, or we don't have the ability to make choices and decisions that affect our life. And I'm here to say, as we are looking through these things to decide whether or not it's exchange, whether or not it's swap, or whether or not it's stolen, right? The thought process is some of these things are decision based. But because we the people don't like to take personal responsibility more time, then we're gonna feel say yes, is somebody bad mind me? Is somebody do me this? Is somebody do me that? And it's not always necessarily true. It's the choices that people made at the time, and much like Esau, afterwards they despised it. He despised his birthright because now he feels like he got robbed. And the reason he felt, to my understanding, that he got robbed is because he was put in a tight spot. Like what type of deal is this? Like, I'm hungry and you're gonna tell me give you a birthright? It don't even equal on the scale. I don't know what was happening amongst the two before. I don't know. But he's like, yo, you're hungry? No problem. Give me your birthright. It's like, brethren, you know what? I fast today. Because how did we get there? This is what predatory lending it happens. Predatory lending in the community they found years ago, and you see a lot of these places not so prevalent as they used to be a couple of years ago. These predatory lending facilities, they come into the community and lend at exorbitant rates. Oh, you want some food? Then yeah, sign this to payday loan, and now you're going to be into me for your pay plus more. And so what they found is people were digging deeper and deeper and deeper ditches because they're in this whole, you want food, give me your birthright type thing, right? Give me your next 3 paychecks type thing, right? And so there was a time when a couple of years ago, when they had to crack down on these predatory lenders because it was ridiculous. They was popping up everywhere and just robbing people who are already at in a certain way in their life, right? So this happens all over, and desperation will cause people to do desperate things. Cynthia says, remember though, Esau didn't have an appreciation for the spiritual things. This is, again, Esau didn't really, I agree. Esau was, it describes them. Esau is busy out there being the man's man. Even later on, you know, Rebecca is going to complain about Esau because of all of the Canaanite woman them in my pickup. So not only is he manly, he's worldly, right? So he wasn't really considering those things. Again, this happens. I don't know how many times I have to say it. It happens when we're looking out. The most thing I could liken it to is the industry. You know, people don't value the spiritual things, or they came from the spiritual things and they say they don't value that. And so they want what they want and they trade it out and they give up something. You notice that in this conversation, you had to give up something that was rightly yours, something that it was in your right to possess. And you had to give that up to get what you thought was more valuable. And again, people do it all the time. And a lot of people regret doing it all the time. Whether or not you can course correct, or whether or not, it's not even that if you can course correct, because from there's life, there's hope, you can course correct. But some people feel like they've gone too far, that they can't course correct, and they just have to continue in this way, right? And therein lies where people are lost in darkness. And that's kind of where we are today, that there are a lot of people who've lost their way because they made decisions in life that got you into dark spaces, and you're wondering, how do you get back on track? You understand? And so, yeah, I think the conversation is pertinent. It's not just about, in this particular Trading Places, if you guys remember the movie, because I had to go looking for it last night and then I'm gonna wind down. In this particular Trading Places, when they realized, when Valentine and Winthrop, which is Eddie's character and the other lead's character, when he realized that, hey, you know what? We've been played. They decided to team up and work together. And so the third swap that happened here was when they took the wealth from these two, Mortimer and Randolph. They took the wealth from them. They became wealthy. And then these two guys became poor. And if you see them in the Coming to America movie, let me see. You see them in Coming to America. The genius is, here they are. Hold on. I don't know if I play this. The genius is that in this movie, Eddie is playing who has money, because in the first movie Eddie was broke, right? He was on the street. Now Eddie is playing a prince who has nothing but money, and he sees. Let me see. Let's see if we can see them real quick, and then I'm gonna wind down. Okay, hold on. Doo-doo-doo-doo. The connections are all there. They're all there. All on there. Here they are. It's not funny, but here they are. So they were named the Duke brothers in the original show of Trading Places. So you see here the Duke brothers. He sees them now on the street when he's walking. This movie was something else too. And now he's feeding them. I think he gives them money. He gives them money. Yeah, he gives them money, if I remember correctly. And they're like, Mortimer, we're back. So that's interesting how they showed the continuity in that particular movie. But yeah, I think he gives them money, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I seen Coming to America. Let's see. There's explanation for things that has nothing to do. I mean, that's many clothes also have personal. No problem. I must have missed something. There's to say that I don't know what Winter is saying at this point. Spiritual things is the foundation for all things that we see, whether we know or understand it, or spirit. There's something spiritual behind this whole manifested world that we live in. The unseen is what brings forth the seen world, right? So I don't know. Again, I left the what you call it open, but I'm gonna go ahead and wind down right now. So yeah, with that said, let me know your thoughts in the description or underneath this video. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and share, and we will talk again next time.